Are you ready for it? We have got the US Open final. Djokovic, Medvedev. We've already previewed it a little bit, but this is a full preview and prediction on why I believe that Novak Djokovic will defeat Daniil Medvedev for his 24th major title here at the US Open. We're going to look in depth at their last matchups at majors, including the US Open 2021, where Medvedev won, and the Australian Open 2021, where Djokovic won. Look at the differences. Look at the keys to this match. I've got my notes, I've got the keys, and I've got some insights, and I'm interested to see what you think about them. So this is going to be big. We've got the 23-time major champion versus the one-time major champion, but the only time Medvedev's won a major is when he beat Djokovic in the final. So they've both been here before, and may the best man win. Here's a preview. All right, people, we got to get into this. So if you have not heard, if you're brand new here, welcome to The Slice. Subscribe, because there's new scientific data that actually says that if you subscribe, you will play more like Djokovic from the baseline and you'll serve more like Medvedev. It's weird. You click that button and then all of a sudden you get better at tennis. Thanks for the support. And we appreciate you, all the sponsors, including Go Sport, who's giving away a free tennis bag worth over $200 to one of you guys. To enter the draw, all you got to do is like this video. Well, you can do that anyways. Subscribe to Go Sport on YouTube, us on YouTube, and leave your email with Go Sport in the link below on their website, and you're in. Winner will be chosen tomorrow. So we've got the matchup of the two best hardcourt players of the last like 3 or 4 or 5 years, for sure. And a lot of people are disappointed that Alcaraz is not in the final, but I am not. I watched the match yesterday where Medvedev was the better player. So that means he deserves to be in the final. And if anyone had forgotten, Medvedev is absolutely lethal on this court and on this surface. And he's proven that in the past. I think some of us just forgot. And he's also had a great 2023 year. So he comes into this match full of confidence, just beating coming into this tournament, the number one player in the world, having a really tough test there and playing amazing tennis and an amazing level for him. So that is fresh in his mind. Djokovic comes into this match having one of the easiest routes to a final in memory. There's been a few of them with including Nadal's at the US Open. Federer had, one at the 2020 or 2019 or 18 Australian Open. I forget. There's been a bunch of them, but this is one of the easiest of all time. He just crushed Ben Shelton, hung up the phone on him, comes in there. So he comes in with a little unbattle tested, I would say, as far as elite level, top of the ATP Tour level in this tournament. But there's so much history between these two guys. The head-to-head right now is 9-5 in favor of, you guessed it, Djokovic, but 5 wins for Medvedev. That's a pretty good rivalry that we've seen on hard court before. So, setting the stage, this is different than the last time they played at a major. The last time they played at a major, Daniil Medvedev beat Novak Djokovic in the final of the US Open. And the pressure imbalance in that match was off the charts. I always talk about the pressure imbalance. Whoever is expected to win the match or has more pressure on them to win the match has the harder time winning the match. And that's been the case for the big three for their entire careers, basically. But they've somehow superhumanly superseded that. But Djokovic going for the Grand Slam in 2021 really put a level of pressure on him that he had never experienced. And he was kind of mentally cooked when they played that match. That said, Medvedev played an amazing, amazing match there to win. And I really believe that if any other player was playing Djokovic in the final, Djokovic would have won that match with the level that he played at. Medvedev could have cracked. He could have got broken. He could have let that match get away in the first or second set, but he didn't, and he played a great match. So I do think that match does have relevance here. But I also think their previous Australian Open match also has relevance here, and we're going to talk about it all. So, yeah, the keys to the game, the keys to this match for that affect both of them, we'll get to. And I'm going to talk about the main kind of, I think, strategy that both of them will try and implement in this match. Not super detailed. It's kind of like an overarching idea of play that I've seen them when they both beat each other on hardcourt majors before. They did play this way. But to start, here's a really interesting stat. Medvedev beat Alcaraz yesterday, serving extremely well, playing very well. His coach, Gilles Savara, said after that he was in the zone right from the beginning. Gilles Savara watches Medvedev to see if he's going to be in the zone right at the beginning of a match. And if he is, then he believes he can play special tennis and produce a match like he did yesterday against Alcaraz. But the serve is extremely important for Djokovic and for Medvedev. I would say more for Medvedev because it's a bigger weapon for Medvedev and it's a bigger part of why he's dangerous than the serve is for Djokovic. Let's take a look at so we're going to look at serve win percentages on serve, and we're going to compare it to the Australian or from the Australian Open 2021 when Djokovic won. And we're going to compare the same percentages to the US Open where Medvedev won. Both of these guys, so Djokovic won in 3 sets in Australia. Medvedev won in 3 sets at the US Open. So I've got it here, but you definitely can't read that. But at the Australian Open, Medvedev served, or on his first serve, he won only 68% of his first serve points and only 39% of his second serve points. To put that in contrast with the US Open, where he won, Medvedev won 81% compared to the 68. He won 81% of his first serve points in the US Open and 76% of his second serve points compared to 39. So almost doubled the percentage on his second serve from the Australian Open to the US Open. So he had a much, much better serving performance and defending his serve in general. Djokovic is almost the reverse. So he's won 73% of his, actually it's not as different. Djokovic won 73% of his first serve in Australia and 63% of his second serve, where he won that match in 3 sets. And then to the US Open, he actually won 80% of his first serves, Djokovic did, but he lost, or he only won 44% of his second serves. So Medvedev was really able to capitalize on that second serve and get that down for him. So that's just a picture to show how much serving and defending the serve and winning points on your serve affect, or not affect, but the result showed, or the stats showed what kind of happened in these matches, where in Australia, Djokovic came out, kind of blitzed Medvedev, made him very uncomfortable from the beginning and took it to him. And then I think Medvedev was so rattled he couldn't get in the zone and couldn't serve well. And then you see the stats, like only 68% win percentage on his first serve and 39% on his second. US Open, Medvedev started great, breaks Djokovic right away, gets off to a great start, gets the confidence, keeps it the whole match, and serves very well, winning a ton of, like 81% first serve, 76% second serve. Whereas Djokovic still won 80% of his first serve. I believe they both actually had a low first serve percentage, so they're only serving like just over 50%, both of them. So it actually really mattered what the second serve percentage was. And Djokovic was only winning 44% of those second serve points because Medvedev was so confident, playing so well, and taking it to him. So what does that tell us? Obviously, both the serve's hugely important. Looking at play styles that Medvedev, or play style and strategy that Medvedev will use to win if he does, Medvedev is going to have to, whenever he's serving, he's going to have to get his first serve in and defend it and be decisive and win a lot of those short rallies in the match, those 4 shots and under, which he did well against Carlos because Carlos wasn't returning well. Medvedev was serving well. He really was aggressive whenever he had a short ball off the return, which he's going to have to do against Djokovic as well, which is what he did at the US Open. And then once there's longer rallies, as there obviously will be, Medvedev likes to let Djokovic take the first risk. Let Djokovic, take the first angle, come to the net, play with pace, and then Medvedev likes to be that counterpuncher and take those opportunities when Djokovic has taken the risk. That's kind of the playbook flip that Medvedev has done to Djokovic. Djokovic has let the other guy take risk first for a lot of his career and most of his matchups. Medvedev does this super well against everyone, but especially Djokovic, and it worked for him at the US Open last year. For Djokovic, his goal should be to make Medvedev uncomfortable using his serve, using his variety, using his overall game with pace and depth, I think it's fine for Djokovic to take a risk. He just has to do it well. And he's done that. He didn't do it as well at the US Open when he lost, and he did it great in Australia, and he did it from the jump in Australia when he won. And that rattled Medvedev, and Medvedev can get rattled. Obviously, they can both get rattled, as we've seen. But yeah, Djokovic is just looking to play his game. He doesn't want to wait around and play the slow ball, long rally game with Medvedev. It'll still be humid there, but the roof will be closed, which is a big key. So talking about keys to the match for Djokovic, for Medvedev, for the both. I think these things are crucially important. First of all, the start, because even though it's a 5-set match, both of these guys like to work. They need sometimes take a while or need to feel themselves into a match. But in these two matches that I'm talking about, and obviously they've had other matches since then, it is different, I believe, in 5 sets. The start makes a huge difference. Medvedev started really well in the US Open. Djokovic started really well in Australia. They actually had a pretty close first set in Australia. But basically, the start here, I think, will be really key for either guy who's going to win. Djokovic needing to feel out the quality of the ball from Medvedev, I think, is an interesting thing to think about. He played a huge server in Shelton, but Shelton has a lot different serve. It's a lefty serve, and he used mostly kick serves in the match in the semifinals, whereas Medvedev will be bombing it flat, trying to hit aces. And Medvedev will keep and get more balls than anyone that Djokovic has played by a long shot. If you think about it, both Shelton and Fritz can't really defend very well. So this is going to be a very different match for Djokovic. And I think if he takes too long to figure it out and adjust to the pace and the quality, that's not good. That's not good. Secondly, the serve. I just talked about it, how big the percentage is switched when both guys won. So obviously the serve is going to be super key for Medvedev. How well is he going to hit it? How close to the line is he going to hit it, like he says? And then for Djokovic, how well will he serve and volley, come forward? Medvedev will stay back, I believe. I don't think he'll try and comes down to the baseline. He stood back when he beat Djokovic at the US Open, and then he lost in Paris when they played after that in 2021. But that was a 3-set match. But it's really up to the quality of returning from Medvedev. Maybe he'll try and mix in stuff there and to keep Djokovic guessing, but I think it's honestly best if he stays deep and let Djokovic have to try and serve back past him and come forward a bunch and just do as best as he can. So both guys, if there's a huge disparity in first serve percentage, whoever's having the higher first serve percentage is going to be at a huge advantage, I believe. So yeah, the serve is the second key. The start, the serve, and thirdly, the roof. The roof, I think, will be closed tomorrow, which I think will slow down the conditions a bit, and it'll be cold, as I think it's supposed to be raining, colder, and I think that helps Djokovic. I think that helps dampen Medvedev's serve a bit. It'll give Djokovic more time on the return, and it'll give him more. I think Djokovic is super underrated at hitting through slow conditions. He's strong. He uses a heavy racket, and if Medvedev isn't able to counter with these flat shots that get through the court and really hurt Djokovic, Djokovic can keep the ball in front of him a ton, and I think that's where Djokovic has an advantage over Medvedev. Medvedev has to be able to hurt Djokovic. He has to be able to counterpunch. It's not all defense for sure. So I think the roof being shut, which I expect it to be, will help Djokovic. And lastly, the crowd. Now, this is the juggernaut because both of these guys have been totally savage with the US Open crowd in the past. They've both gone at the crowd. They both have had good times with it. When Djokovic lost the US Open 2021, he was crying. He had a reckoning with the crowd, he felt there. But really, whoever, it's whoever's winning the match, I think, will have the crowd against them because the crowd will want to see a longer match, and they'll get in the mix somehow. Whoever can stay cool through that, not get rattled, is going to be more on top and is going to do better, I believe. So prediction time. Like the title of this video suggests, I'm predicting Djokovic to win because he's won 23 majors, because I think he really wants this as another one on his belt. It would be his third major of 2023, which would be pretty incredible. And I do think he is the favorite to me going in, but I do think it's like 55-45. It's like very close. And I do think it's a big deal that Medvedev played and beat Alcaraz at a very high level, has that fresh in his memory, has the quality of shot that Alcaraz brings fresh in his memory, and has that belief going in, where Djokovic really doesn't have anywhere near the level of competition that Medvedev is going to bring from any of his opponents so far. So it could be need some adjustment from Djokovic. But alas, you have my prediction. Djokovic in 4. That's my thought. What do you think? I could be wrong. I was wrong at Wimbledon. I picked Djokovic to win, and Alcaraz won. So we'll see here. But I'm just so excited for this match. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see how these guys play, how they defend their serves, what styles they put in, and how they react to how the match goes in the crowd, and et cetera, and et cetera. So yeah, that's a prediction. Leave yours, preview, and your thoughts down below. Appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for subscribing to this slice. Thanks for following along on Twitter. Obviously, my Twitter handle's down here. I'll be live tweeting the match tomorrow, and we will see you then. You better strap in. It's going to be a good match. That's the slice.